Well, let me keep my lips farther apart so it doesn't sound like a fart. Good Lord. What's up, everybody, and a happy new year to you. It's your husky boy, Mark, with Cardivox Academy here, at it again with another reaction video. So today, we are starting off the year, as far as our reactions are concerned, with Rings of Saturn, the Husk. This is a request from our patrons, by the way. So every month they get to react to a video for me to break down. We got a little behind on them, but we're catching up now. And this is the one that they picked. Now, the Husk is an awesome song. I've heard it before. That does happen with these Patreon picks. Sometimes they pick songs that I've heard before, but the analysis is still a lot of fun. I love digging deeply into these vocals. And in addition to being able to nominate and vote on a video per month for me to react to, there's also a raffle, a drawing. I don't know exactly what the word would be, but basically throughout the month, you're able to earn points just by hanging out in the community, taking parts in events. Nothing fancy. Right. And if your name is drawn, you win a one-on-one vocal evaluation with me. And it's a lot of fun and it's really cool. And our winner this time is Brother Kane. Brother Kane is a super cool dude. He's been hanging out in our Discord server for a while. He's been around, oh goodness, for quite a while. So I'm really excited to have our vocal evaluation. So if we haven't already, we'll reach out to you via email and also on Discord, and we'll set that up. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to work on your vocals together. All right, now if you enjoy vocal analysis, you're in the right spot. I myself am a vocal coach and a metal vocalist in Kardashev. That's my main band, and this is my full-time job, teaching people how to create these vocal tones or tones very similar, how to find their own voice safely and efficiently. So let's go ahead, let's break this song down, and if at any point you're interested in letting me know how I did, making your own comments in the section below, go for it. Let's have some fun, and let's jump into it. Rings of Saturn, the Husk, shabam.
3 more U.S. senators received a classified briefing about UFOs at the Pentagon, or in current lingo, unidentified aerial phenomena. You may have heard that pilots and other military personnel have been reporting these kinds of sightings for years.
Yep. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's talk about that. With my new setup, I'm so far away from my keyboard. Maybe there's a way to keep it closer. Okay, so Ian Bearer is an awesome vocalist. It's a shame that Rings of Saturn is now instrumental. I think that Ian Bearer was instrumental in a lot of their music. But such is life, so we must go on. So let's talk about a couple things here. One thing I've really liked about Rings of Saturn and Ian Bearer is the high vocals. The high vocals have always been one of my favorites. But before we talk about necessarily like the method in which like we're creating these high vocal tones, one thing I'd like to talk about a little bit is resonance, right? Now, I've talked about resonance a lot on the channel in a lot of my videos. Resonance is tremendously important. We're going to talk about it always and forever. But I think it's really important. One thing I notice with a lot of my students is that the understanding of vocal resonance is where they get a little bit hung up, right? And that's understandable because it's kind of tricky, right? We think about resonance, we think forward, back, we think about that buzzy feeling in the front, but like why? Why does it work that way? Well, to kind of simplify it here for the sake of the video, we can think of resonance as being the way that the sound waves behave inside of our head, right? And our chest and our throat. Right? But we're projecting with pretty much every metal scream that's out there. There are a few exceptions that you find in like slam and things like that. But in many vocal styles that are out there, even though you're not screaming as loud as you can, you're still projecting. You're still trying to access resonant space. And so we want those sound waves to behave a certain way inside of our head. Now, what we can do is we can change the way that those sound waves, or I should say, we can cut out certain frequencies from those sound waves that are resonating inside of our head to create different tones, right? So an example is if I say, hey, 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 ha, 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 right? Those all sounded pretty different, even though I was on the same, like, pitch, I guess you could say. Now, if I say, hello, right? My voice is a stack of thousands of frequencies, and I can utilize my tongue, the shape of my face, my soft palate, even the throat and the larynx a little bit, right? We don't want to put too much work on the throat, but we can move things around a little bit. We're gonna be cutting out a lot of those low frequencies and letting the high frequencies accentuate. One thing I've talked about a lot in many, many, many of my videos is that one way, and in my opinion, the best way that you can create really high and really low tones is by having a really good mid. So like if I do like my highest high and I drop it, you'll hear that it's mostly a mid, right? All I have to do is shift my tongue forward a little bit, smile, kind of brighten up. There is some work that I do at the top of my throat, and it does create a lot of like bubbly saliva around the tonsils. If it's coming up from the throat, that's no good. But if you're getting just kind of like the vibration of the tissues is causing the spit to be a little bit foamy, that's fine. So if I take this, sounds kind of like a mid. Likewise, if I take my like lowest low I'm able to do, right? Right there like that. It's a mid. So getting a strong, powerful mid is going to be a really important way that you can get towards high vocals and low vocals. Now, I don't know, I just talked a lot. Maybe we should get back to the song. But one thing I want us to think about is that none of the sounds that we've heard from Ian at this point are from tension. None of them are from him squeezing on his throat. He's working very much like this sort of palatopharyngeal. There's a lot of the distortion coming up here from the actual soft palate, from the palatine folds that are able to come in. You can actually hear the folds in the back of your mouth coming together if you kind of like whisper lightly in a very high pitch. So if I'm right here like this, a lot of that narrowing of the airflow is happening back here. Maybe someday I'll shine a flashlight into my mouth and y'all can see it. But that same feeling where the air is getting narrowed, that's one place. There are many ways to do high vocals, by the way. I'm not saying this is the only way. But that's one place you can feel the distortion. Right? And that's a very fine way to do it. So I want you to think about relaxing through this and utilizing this place for your high vocals. Let's keep going. We'll go a little bit more in depth, but you know, we have a song to listen to, so let's try to be efficient, I suppose. Oh. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and stop it again there. So now let's talk about lows, right? Because Ian's got a lot more than just good highs. Of course, we don't want to pigeonhole anybody. So if we talk now about you kind of building on that same thought, right? These mids kind of becoming lows. One thing that I'm hearing is there's a lot of space in the mouth. That is, in my opinion, one of the best places to start trying to get your vocals lower is by creating space in your mouth. A lot of times what people will do, and I've talked about this in other videos before, is they'll pull their larynx down. Right there like that. You can do that if you want to. I'm too lazy for all that mess. And the space that you're going to open in your throat is a lot less than the space that you can produce in your mouth. And more space is what creates lower tones, along with the actual way that you're generating the distortion. But more space is going to be your ticket to getting lower without having to work harder for it. And you can kind of think of it like if I have like a little pipette from like chemistry class and I blow across it, it'll be super loud. That's my air through a pipe sound, I guess. And then if I've got like this big thing right here, which has got water in it, so it won't really work. But if I was to blow across this, it'd be like, right? It'd be lower. Why? The source is the same. So why is it lower? Well, much of the reason for that is there's more space, and so the sound waves are bouncing around in the container, and the sound waves are actually lengthening right? So if I even just take my speaking voice, I'm going to take my speaking voice and I'm going to speak with puckered lips and I'm going to drop my jaw a little bit or I'm going to curl my tongue, right? I'm not actually making my voice lower. I'm doing nothing to adjust my pitch. That's a really easy way to start getting your lows lower. So if I start with like just a pretty standard, pretty easy, this is like a very arytenoid heavy. That's how I do most of my vocals. It falls under the false chord umbrella. But if I take, you know, this my wah ha ha and I start augmenting it, ha ha we get a lot of really easy low tones, and you can see that I'm not really like struggling, I'm not working hard, and that's not me trying to flex, that's me showing you like you can get to the point where if you focus more on the acoustic properties of your voice, if you're thinking more about resonance than distortion, just get simple distortion down. Get anything, even something as simple as like, yay, right there like that. That's a really simple, like sort of fundamental false chord sound, and you can do so many cool things with it, right? So find your baseline distortion, find a way to make it comfortable, and then, you know, spend like a month just focusing on resonance, focusing on how to access all of these like, E, R, E, eh. The great thing is that as metal vocalists, we have a little bit more freedom, right? We with singing, like no one's ever gonna want to hear you sing like, you know, can I just have one more moon dance with you, right? That would be terrible singing. Nobody's gonna want to hear that. But can I just have one more moon dance with me, boy? Right? Hey, we can play with those tones all day. It's a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and let's keep going. You can actually hear what I'm talking about pretty well there. I've never really noticed that because usually when I've listened to this song, I'm mostly just listening to it for fun on my own. I don't know how far back to go, so we'll go there. But the way that he's kind of accentuating these vocals, I'd have to remember the pattern, but he goes down, 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 up, down, down, right? And so all of that can be done just by moving the tongue. So a lot of times when I'm mimicking a high vocal, but I don't want to use distortion because I'm mostly exploring resonance, it sounds super stupid. Get ready. Because, you know, when I'm practicing, because even though I've been doing this for 12 years and even though I have students, I still practice on my own, right? I still have things I want to learn. And so when I'm practicing my high vocals and when I'm playing around with resonance, I use this voice right here. I use this one. Now notice I'm not actually going super high, right? Hey man, what's going on? I don't have to go like as high as I can in my actual vocal range, right? I don't need to be like busting through the highest point that I can hit. I'm not concerned with that, with my metal vocals anyway. So I'm right here. Yeah. Do you hear how I can push that resonant sound thinner and tighter and more forward just by sliding my tongue? I think you can actually see it here. Sounds like a baby crying, right? If I scream, all I'm doing is moving my tongue and I'm giving it a little bit more push from my abdominal muscles. My neck is staying relaxed. So, it's all in the tongue, right? So if you're hearing things like this and you're like, oh, how do I go higher? Rather than thinking about going higher, thinking about nurturing your resonance forward. Like that. Let's keep going. And I went back, so maybe you can kind of hear that here. Yeah. So there's another thing that we can kind of talk about here as well. This is a little bit, I hesitate to use the word advanced because I think some people use the word advanced to be kind of skeezy and salesman-y. But I'll use it here because it is something you're not necessarily going to start with. But another thing that we can do when we're doing our low vocals to get them a little bit low is to try to maintain a little bit more space in the cheeks, right? So what you can see, and I actually just recently talked about this in the Will Ramos one take vocal cover. It's so wordy of the Abyss, the one take vocal cover of the Abyss that he did. He's doing it a little bit differently because he's using it to accentuate syllables, right? But what we can do is we can just hold a little bit, just a little bit of extra airflow in the mouth. Right? That's mostly coming from airflow, but the cheeks puff slightly. It gives you just a little touch of resonant space. It sounds like that's what he might be doing here. And it can be kind of hard to control because you're letting a little bit more air come out, but you don't want to over project, right? So it's kind of like if I took, a good example would be as if I took this and turned it into, I'm doing that with my abdominal muscles. And if I do it like on a guttural, well, let me keep my lips farther apart so it doesn't sound like a fart. Good Lord. It can get it a little bit lower. It's kind of a funky sound. I don't use it very much. Sounds like what might be going on here, but essentially this still comes all down to open space in the mouth. Lots and lots of open space in the mouth. And you can hear the difference because when he's on his mids, you know, more in like, now he and I are different vocalists. I'm not trying to mimic him 100%. I'm not trying to be him. But if I was to, you know, do these open mids, wow, I don't like that. I'm opening my mouth. I'm kind of keeping everything sort of tall looking, right? Like that sort of shape. Wow. And if I'm going to take that same sound, right? Curling the tongue, opening up space, keeping the opening narrow. Let's keep going. You know I'm pausing it again, but again, this is the first time in a while I'm listening to his voice so distinctly. I think he also, I'm gonna be transparent. This is a little bit of a hypothesis, right? Because sometimes I hear exactly what's going on and I'm 100% accurate. Other times I'm like, could be. This might be what's going on. But one thing I like about Ian's lows is that there's a very rich, dark, warm, cavernous undertone. How many adjectives can I use? Undertone to them. He may be doing a little bit more in the back. The vast majority of the time, our lows are going to be more in the front. As if I was saying, right? I feel all that, hey, I'm walking, hey. I feel the front of my face buzzing quite a bit, but you can pull your tongue farther back on a guttural, right? You can also sort of lift and widen the back of your tongue. I personally don't have a lot of success with this, but I've spoken with other vocalists who do, where you sort of like are widening the back of the tongue, like that, and it can kind of create a little bit of the cavernous sound. I find it too difficult with like my vocal anatomy, but it may work really well for you, so feel free to give it a shot. And it kind of can transform your low a little bit. See, it sounds a little bit farther back. Play around with it if you want. It's not my favorite way to do it, but it sounds like maybe that's what's going on here, and he's doing it in a way that sounds super dope. Let's go back. Yeah. Okay, so that is actually where the vocals, if I remember, it's been a while since I heard the song, that is actually where the vocals end, and we're going to listen to the outro because this is a beautiful, beautiful outro. The outro of this song is A level, 10 out of 10, S tier. But I kind of want to wrap up a couple things that I was talking about here. I'm trying to squeeze this video between a lesson because January is super busy. So I'm trying to fit everything in that I can. But the main things, if I could summarize all of this for you, I want you to focus on, number one, finding healthy and easy distortion, whether it's fry, whether it's false chord, doesn't matter to me, right? Just find something simple that you can do comfortably, and then make your main goal just being in control and being comfortable with that sound. You know, get to the point, and this will take time where you can just kind of go, if you look down here, you can actually see, like, watch down here. You can actually see when I breathe in, this will expand, and you can see it engage, not contract, but engage, squeeze, like I'm lifting something heavy, or like if I'm saying, like, you know, hey, hey, hup, hey, you know, that same sort of activation. And that's just allowing things to come out super simple. Make that your main goal before anything else, right? So I'll go ahead and do it for you so you can see what I'm talking about. So I breathe in. Right? From there, if you want to extend the range of your screams, think less about it in the form of actual pitch, right? Don't think of it as going like, hey, hey, whoa. Think of it more as just lifting resonance forward. There is, of course, definitively a change in pitch that you just heard, but my main focus there was getting forward, getting bright for my high vocals, or like forward and low. Hey, those are the main directions you want to go. And I think that's a very important way to start, because it's one thing to be able to do really cool screams. That's awesome. You should be proud of that. It's another thing to build a foundational system upon which you can base healthy screams that you can carry for years and years to come. Whether you're going to be, you know, just in a studio or you're going to be touring a lot, right? If you understand the mechanism by which you create these sounds, and you're in control of that system versus it just being kind of like lucky guesswork, you're going to have an easier time. Anyway, let's go ahead and let's listen to this outro because it's beautiful. Then we'll wrap up the video there. This guitar solo, it's so good. Right here. Oh. All right, cool. Look at those spaceships. Let's end with those spaceships. That's kind of a cool shot. Okay, anyways, so If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so very much for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully this has given you some perspective on the relationship between resonance and your vocal placement and, you know, helped you take a little bit of strain off your throat. If you're trying to scream higher and your throat's just tightening up, hopefully this kind of gives you some advice on how to get that going nice and clean and more comfortably. Same with the lows. Right? That's the goal, comfort and control. But again, if you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below. It means a lot to me. Feel free to hit us up on Patreon. We've got a Discord. It's a lot of fun. You can win vocal evaluations with me. We have multiple events every month aimed at vocalists and other just hangouts. And again, Brother Kane, good job. The vocal evaluation is going to be a good time. I got lesson prep to do. I got a lesson in 12 minutes. So with that, as I always say, many thanks, much love. I'm out.